When I saw Stadler was making an Intercity version of their excellent FLIRT trains for the United Kingdom, I was super excited. As my previous experiences on the new Intercity train that plagues UK rails has been undesirable at best. So today we are trying out the Greater Anglia Intercity FLIRTs on their flagship route from London to Norwich. Is this train an actual improvement or just as big of a failure as the troubled 800 series trains? Let's find out. Our journey begins at London's busy Liverpool Street station. While opening in 1874, the station has since grown to become the busiest train station in the entire United Kingdom, handling about 94 million passengers last year. And as I'm here towards the end of the morning peak, there's certainly a lot of passengers here. The station is a modern facility that still retains much of its older charm. Greater Anglia is the largest operator at the station, and you can see their red and white livery dominating the station. However, hiding behind some of the red and white trains, you might also see some orange from London Overground. And in the peak hours, you might be able to catch one of the very limited Crossrail trains that run into the upper level platforms during the peaks. As our train to Norwich doesn't have a platform yet, let's explore some more of the station. First of all, I must say, this is a beautiful building that still does a great job of adding modern facilities while retaining most of its charm. Looks like we won't be off to the best start this morning, as delays are announced between Norwich and Stowmarket, which our train will be travelling through. Another thing that's not great about the UK railway network is their expensive last-minute ticketing. If you were to use the machine to book your ticket right at the station, you'd be paying £85 for less than a 2-hour journey. Luckily, I booked in advance, so I paid considerably less. Platforms at Liverpool Street Station is often only announced a bit before train departure. Luckily, we can use a website like Real Time Trains to figure out our train is planned to depart from track 11 before everyone else. It's also great because that means I can get to the platform and get a shot of the train arriving. And here she comes, working an inbound service from Norwich. At 12 carriages long and just shy of 240 meters, these trains can really carry a lot of passengers. Well over a minute. That's how long it takes for these trains to arrive into the platform. But finally, here we have the end carriage approaching. Our train is operated by Greater Anglia. The train sits here for half an hour in order for the staff to go clean the train and get it ready for the run back to Norwich. I can tell you that this is a Class 745 built by Swiss manufacturer Stadler and part of their FLIRT platform. They entered service in 2020 with 2 variants, but more on that later. About 15 minutes before departure, our train is ready for boarding. A key new feature of these trains is their low-floor design, greatly improving accessibility on this route. Today I'm traveling on a first-class ticket, and as I don't have a seat reservation, I just chose to sit here. And this seat even has a little table for your backpack to sit on. Oh well, that's what I decided it was most useful for. Otherwise, there's plenty of space above. We depart London Liverpool Street Station at 9:32, running 2 minutes behind schedule. After departure, we got to snake our way out of the station. And I do mean snake, as these trains are really long. Not long after, we slowly emerge from the tunnels and can soon begin accelerating. It just takes a while, as the rear of our train has to clear all the switches. And as we make our way out of this busy station, let's take a closer look at the route map for today's journey. We are on board the 9:30 service to Norwich, making stops at Stratford, Colchester, Manningtree, Ipswich, Stowmarket, Diss and finally Norwich. This is a distance of 115 miles covered in an hour and 48 minutes, giving the train an average speed of 64 miles per hour. It's not long after departure we make our first station stop.
We are now approaching Stratford. Change. Central Line, the DLR, Jubilee Line, London Overground and Elizabeth Line.
Stratford, in addition to being an important transport interchange, is also the home to the largest urban shopping centre in the United Kingdom and is where the 2012 Olympic Games were hosted. As we depart Stratford, we can see one of the main benefits of these new trains: their much quicker acceleration.
Service for Norwich. We will be calling at Colchester, Manningtree, Ipswich, Stowmarket, Diss and Norwich. The next stop will be Colchester.
I mean, we're even able to keep up with Crossrail, where acceleration is key thanks to its frequent stops. The line out of London has 4 tracks as far as Shenfield. Shenfield is the terminus of Crossrail, as well as 2 of the 4 tracks. And as we speed along towards Colchester, let's have a look at the train's interior. Starting here at the rear of the train in first class. One of my favorite things about these trains is the passenger information system, which shows very clearly the next station, destination, and this is even cooler. You can see how many people are sitting in each section of the train, as well as where the various services are located. Anyway, let's continue heading through the train. As you can see, the seating layout here in first class is quite varied, with 1+2 seating, some 1+1 seating as well, here over the bogies. The train offers a good mix between airline style seating as well as a few table bays. Here we can see the network map for Greater Anglia, with the Norwich route being right in the center. It is really the flagship of this railway company. Throughout the train, you will find toilets by the doors. So let's go and check it out. The door can easily be knocked using this knob. The toilet is looking clean. However, I was struggling a bit with the sensor for the water, as you can see. It was a bit hard to find the spot where you're supposed to hold your hand. The dryer sensor was working considerably better, and the flush is working too. So, I give this a thumbs up. Heading further down the train, we will get to the onboard cafe, which also separate first from second class. Unfortunately, this was closed today due to a lack of catering staff, which unfortunately is a common occurrence here on Greater Anglia. Over here, we can take a look at the menu. It's mostly just snacks and a few drinks. Next up, we go down to standard class. Here is the accessible area. As you can see, there's loads of space here for wheelchair users. And it's located next to the accessible toilet. Standard class comes in an expected 2+2 layout, in this section only with table seats. At these tip-up seats, you can also secure your bike using this strap. Standard class throughout the rest of the train comes in a mixed layout, mostly airline style seating, but again there are a few table bays. The seats are very similar to those up in first. Let's check them out. You get a small tray table. It's very sturdy. And below the seat, there's a PowerPoint. The seats are not winning any rewards for the most comfortable, but they are completely fine for the less than 2-hour journey to Norwich that these trains do at most. And it's honestly quite comical that these seats designed for what's basically just a really fast commuter train is better than what's on offer on long distance journeys from London to places like Inverness and Penzance. These trains, in typical Stadler fashion, also has a large area towards the middle of the train housing most of the electronics and traction equipment that no longer fit under the train thanks to the low floor. On our way to Colchester, we pass by the currently under construction station of Bewley Park, set to open in 2026, but this will be served by the local trains along this route. And not long after, we pull into Colchester. Colchester claims to have the longest platform in the United Kingdom, but as you can see here, it's not really continuous, serving 2 different tracks. So should it count? Let me know what you think in the comments.
Welcome to this service for Norwich. We will be calling at Manningtree, Ipswich, Stowmarket, Diss and Norwich. The next stop will be Manningtree.
The acceleration of these trains will never cease to amaze me, which allows for the train to reach its top speed of 100 miles per hour even when the distance between stops is short. Next up is Manningtree, where the platform is just about long enough to fit the entire train on it. And as we proceed towards Ipswich station, I think we should have a look at the seat in first class. They are similar to the ones found down in standard, but just a bit wider. Again, they are not winning any rewards for the best seat, but they are ergonomically shaped and perfectly fine for a 2-hour journey. They feature USB power as well as a plug socket, a leather armrest. No recline is offered, but again, the train does journeys less than 2 hours. Overall, I think the interior really strikes a good balance of both being able to cater as an intercity service to further out stations such as this, Stowmarket and Norwich, while being able to pack in a lot of commuters closer to London. Overall, I think the acronym FLIRT really encapsulates what this train does so well. It's a fast, light, intercity and regional train that does both things very well.
If you see something that doesn't look right, speak to staff or text the British Transport Police on 61016. We'll sort it. See it, say it, sort it.
As our next stations will be Stowmarket and Diss, we are about to see if we will be affected by those delays mentioned at Liverpool Street. So in case we get stuck, let's check out if the Wi-Fi works. That was super easy to connect to, but the speeds could be better. We call at Stowmarket without issue and proceed onwards towards Diss. It seems like whatever issue was going on here before has luckily been resolved, because we depart Diss without issue or further delays. And so far, I have to say I'm really impressed with these trains. But in typical UK railway fashion, there's always a catch. Remember how I mentioned there's 2 variants of this train? Well, they have 10 in this intercity version and another 10 in a version for the Stansted Airport Express. Which is a problem, because they need more than 10 intercity FLIRTs to operate all the services between London and Norwich. So what happens instead is that the Stansted Express version, that doesn't have first class or catering, ends up on services to Norwich. Or they couple 3 of the battery electric FLIRTs used on small regional lines together and run them from London to Norwich. Ah, I love me some good planning. But overall, the intercity version of these trains is a really great and smart choice for this route. And here, as we approach Norwich, next to Crown Point train maintenance facility, where they hopefully take great care of these trains for the next many years, there's just one thing left to do: talk about tickets. Tickets between London and Norwich, if booked in advance, start from £12 in standard and 19.5 in first, which is what I paid. And I think this is a fair price for a little under 2-hour intercity journey on a comfortable, fast train. And with an on-time arrival into Norwich, I'm gonna pass on the question to you. What do you think of these trains? Thank you so much for joining me on this trip. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you are subscribed to the channel, as I try to post a new one every Sunday. You can also follow me over on Twitter at Intercity Simon. I usually post live from my travels over there, so it's a great place to get a sneak peek at what videos might be coming to the channel in the future. Thanks for watching.